Hey everybody, it's Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. This is going to be a fun conversation. We are talking about band director spouses, and we have three good ones with us here today. So we're going to be talking to them about what it's like to be married to a band director and how they handle all that, especially maybe during the fall season. So Kayla Rath, how are you?
I'm good, Tim. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for being here. Amber Mauldin, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm great. And Brandon Denney, how are you, sir?
Very good, Tim. Thanks
So
for having
glad
me.
you guys are here. So let's go back around. Kayla, I'll start with you. First of all, I want to say thank you for putting this panel together. I think this is a really very interesting mix of people. Tell us about where you are in the world, what you do, and then who your band director spouse is.
All right. So I'm married to Eric Rath. We live in Canyon, Texas. Eric is the head director of the Canyon Band Cluster. Let's see, it's a 4A school up in the Panhandle. And I myself am a motivational speaker in the area of safety. And so I travel and speak to people about being safe. That's a little bit about us. We have 5 kids, and our oldest is a sophomore in Eric's band.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, how about you, Amber?
We live in Sundown, Texas, not too far away from Lubbock, if no one knows where that is, because they usually don't. It's a little bump in the road, but we love it. One stoplight town. It's a 2A school. I actually work at the elementary school here in Sundown as a special ed inclusionist. So it's pretty cool getting to see the kids as they're growing up into the band program. It's a side that we've never experienced before, but because of my job, we're kind of seeing a whole new side of things. I really, the reason that I'm in the position that I'm in is because of my husband's job too. Is when I really fell in love with kids and teaching was through the band program. We have 3 kids of our own. We have 3 boys. They are 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 8th grade. And the oldest is marching in my husband's band for the first time this year. So we start in 8th grade here. He's the head band director here. There's about 110 piece band. So we went to state last year, and we're hoping to do that again. So
That's awesome. Great. All right, how about you, Brandon?
Hi, I'm Brandon Denney. My wife is Ginger Denney. She's the head director at Randall High School, which is in the same ISD as Eric's band, or Kayla's husband. We are a 5A currently, possibly moving down to a 4A next year. But so we're a little bit larger school at the moment. There is a 3rd high school opening up, so they may be dividing us pretty quick. I am an IT manager. I do a little bit of everything IT related. It's a little bit outside of teaching or the band world, but I grew up in that world, and I started as a music major and decided I like computers better. But I did my time at least a little bit in band, and so that's kind of my background there. And Ginger, we're really working toward that contest coming up, and hope to make it to state this year as well.
Well, that's great. So one of my first questions was, were you a musician too? Were you in the high school band, or were you into something else? So Brandon, you just mentioned that you were a band member.
I was pretty good in high school. I tried to make the transition in college, and I guess I didn't have the same direction in college, but I tried for 3 years to be a music major, and eventually I just switched to computer engineering. But I met my wife in band, so I have that to thank for it.
Oh, Brandon, please tell that story about, like, for real, how you met Ginger.
So I was a freshman, she was a junior in college, and I played the trumpet, so everything that comes with the stereotypical trumpet player. I had a huge head and a big ego, and there was a move where the color guard passed through the trumpets. And the first time we ran into each other, and the next time I kind of went around her, and I looked at her, I said, "You need to go around me." And she said, "No, you need to go around me." And I didn't move, and she didn't move, and she hit me with her flag, and we started dating.
That's a great story. That's a
I
really good
love it.
story.
Gotta watch out for that color guard.
Yeah, she likes to say that she knocked some sense into me.
That's
I love
fantastic.
that.
Falling in love through guard violence. Like that's really cool. So Amber, how about you? Were you in the band or are you a musician?
I was in sixth grade band because it was required, and then I was a dropout. And then I married a band director. So I played at the clarinet for a little while. I do still remember which hand goes on top, but that's about it. I went the choir and athletics route in school. Really wish I would have stayed with band because now I know what memories I missed out on. So if I ever see a kid making that choice to get out, I'm like, are you sure? But yeah, I was in sixth grade band, beginner band, and ended up marrying a band director. So
I love it. How about you, Kayla? Were you a musician?
No, I'm not a musician. In my shower, I can sing pretty amazing, but that's about all the musical talent I have. I was in band. So I grew up in a very, very small town in Southwest Kansas. And I was in band off and on. So I had a band program that you could leave and then come back and leave and come back. I played the flute. I can still play my high school song. But Eric brought a flute home. We'd been married probably 2 years. And Eric brought a flute home and he said, okay, play something for me. So I was about to start playing our school song. And I got like maybe 2 bars into it. And he reached out and he lowered the flute and he said, that's enough. Good job. So I'm definitely not a musician. Our third child is a 6th grade beginner flute, and she's been at it for 6 weeks now. She has far surpassed my ability to play at all. So no, I applaud musicians. I do not understand anything about music at all. I can't read it. I just don't. No, I'm definitely not a musician.
Okay, very good. So now I'll just throw this out there and any of you can jump in, and I would like each of you to answer if you have something to contribute to this. What was the most unexpected aspect of your spouse's job?
The time. I had no idea because I didn't grow up like in a competitive marching band. We didn't march. Well, we walked out onto the field, walked, and made an E for Elkhart. And we played the school song, and then we would march into a box and then play Hang On Sloopy. And then we just didn't, I did not have any way to comprehend what band directing really entailed. And so the first year that we were married I was just like, why are you not getting home till 6:30? This does not make sense to me. Band directors should be able to leave when every other teacher leaves, right? And also, why are you going back up on a Saturday? And why are you thinking about it on a Sunday? And when does it ever stop? And then marching band ends, but band directing does not. And so immediately you're moving into all region, and then you're moving into all state, and it's like, it's never ending. The time that those band directors put into their job is second to none. It never stops.
Let's say I have to echo exactly what Kayla said. Even in our first couple of years of marriage, Ginger wasn't at the high school level yet, and so she had more time, I would say, leaving from a beginner band program at 4 or 5 in the afternoon versus getting to work at 6:15 and not coming home until 8:30 at night. A lot of days, that would be the biggest thing. Was the time. I thought that I knew band schedules and was aware, okay, we have to rehearse, we get to school early, we stay late, but that's a whole other time commitment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me, I knew what I was getting into because our best friend, she was married to a band director, and they've both passed away now, but she warned me and she, told me, hey, it's going to be hours of commitment for both of you, not just for him, but for you. You're going to have the kids by yourself. You're going to, you can either sit at home with them or you can take them up there and wag along. But it's a commitment, further deeper than most people realize. But I guess for me, the thing that I didn't expect was really falling in love with those kids as the spouse. When you do make that commitment with them and you're involved and you're up there, you get to know those kids and they become your kids. And I guess I was kind of warned about that too, but maybe didn't really get it until, the past 5 years, really. And we've been married for 17 years. So
just spinning off
no
of
one
that.
tells you. Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, sorry, Kayla. For a lot of years when Ginger became the head band director, probably 2 years, I just let her do her thing. Friday night, I was a bachelor. Saturday, I was a bachelor. And it got really lonely and our relationship suffered. And there was a call they needed bus drivers, and they especially needed it for Friday afternoons for games. I said, you know what, I'll do that. I'll go, train and I'll drive the bus. And honestly, I've fallen in love with it. I've fallen in love with those kids. They know my name. And now I go to everything. I go to every contest. I go to every football game. Any time that they need a bus, I'm there, and I'm listed as a first driver. So I just had to dive in with both feet and become, instead of wallowing at home alone, I just had to dive in and get back into that band mentality. And now I'm in charge of the props and I'm in charge of driving them there. And so it's become much more rewarding for me personally, and getting to know those kids. A lot of times Ginger will know them from 6th grade. She teaches beginners up, and I get to know them as freshmen, and for 4 years I get to watch them grow. It's really rewarding.
Yeah, no one tells you how much you just love those kids. Oh man, we still call the first graduating class after we moved and began band directing. We still call them our first kids, and now they all have kids, and they should still be little tiny juniors and seniors. Yeah, it's mind blowing, but oh man, I just love all those kids so much. And we all know it because we're in band. Like, band kids work harder than anyone, because it's not just like, I'm going to work at marching band. They work at marching band while they're simultaneously working toward all region. And they work at all region while they're simultaneously working towards, on their Christmas music or whatever. And they're taking private lessons. And band kids are just a special breed. And they're generally, save a trombone or two, they're mostly respectful kids. And they're just good kids. And they want so much for it. It's like, if you love them, they're going to love you back. And they're going to work so much harder for your husband, which means your husband or wife comes home in a happy mood because the kids are, it's like a circle of everybody. It's like a big family, and we all love each other, and we're all there for each other. And it's so rewarding to see those kids graduate out. And then when they come back and they say, I always knew I had a place in band. And it's because of your husband and the things that he did. I always knew I belonged. That's just the best feeling in the world.
I agree.
I love that. Okay, so you've mentioned already that now you've decided to get involved. You found that you love to get involved. So I have a specific question, which is, do you interact with the band parents? And if so, what's that like?
I might have a unique perspective on this, just because of the genders. When people hear that Denney is the director, they often direct questions to me. And I am like, you have to ask my wife. That is not, I have to be, and I think maybe more careful than, I definitely do not try to make any decisions, because I think that would affect us personally as well as her professionally. So maybe that's not necessarily a unique perspective, but for this panel, maybe a little more unique.
Yeah, that makes me mad for her.
Well, in West Texas, if you cut the top, from Lubbock North, she was the first female director in that area. So, it's just times are changing and things change. So instead of assuming, a lot of people need to realize what's actually going on.
Yeah. Man, I as a band mom now, it's really interesting interacting with parents because previously all of those parents were older than me and they had their kids were older than me, and now they're our peers and our friends who are also the band boosters. And so sometimes that can get a little tricky because they know my phone number, and because they did soccer with my son 4 years ago, they have Eric's phone number from that time he picked their kid up from soccer practice and took him home. And so we've had to set some really strict boundaries as far as, just because we're your friends, you can't text us, I'm sorry, we have a rule. My husband does not give out his phone number. So you can't text me to get to him. And we know what you're really saying when you try to be sneaky about it. I know that you're really trying to tell Eric what to do, and he knows it too. And so there's that, but that is like 3% of parent interactions, and 97% of them are so positive and so encouraging. And sometimes they bring up points that I think, well, I don't know why we do it that way. Maybe I should ask Eric. But like Brandon said, generally when people ask me a question, I'm like, you think I know something because I'm married to him, but you should know that I don't know anything. So you'll need to talk to him about it. But that's how we interact with people, with parents.
I think my favorite interaction so far to date was a parent texting me and saying, "Are we allowed to cheer at competition?" And I was like, "Yeah, please do." Like,
as loud as possible.
That would be great if you do that. But there's a lot of parent questions that they just don't know. But I'm not afraid to say, I'm not the band director. He's over there,
Yeah.
And I feel like as a spouse, you do have to learn that pretty early on. But I'm kind of in the same boat as far as we're getting to the point where it's our kids' classmates' parents, so it's a little different situation than what we're used to. And it's kind of surreal sometimes though, because it's like, okay, wait a minute, I'm not a little kid anymore, because I was 19 whenever I married Justin. So I was like, I don't know, why are you asking me this? And now I'm like, that's not a me question. Like, that's not even something I need to find out for you. That's something you need to be asking them, but that's one of the things you learn as you go. So
2 more questions, you guys. You're doing so wonderful. I so appreciate it. Next question is, how do you two support each other through the fall?
I think that kind of goes back to my story. Just being there. I see my wife now in the fall more than I do sometimes in the spring, just because I can be involved directly. I don't have to make the decisions. I just do what she tells me to do. So I just kind of insert myself where I can and help where I can and stay out of the way where I'm not needed.
That's a great way to say it. You insert yourself where you can. And not even just for the fall, but when our kids were real little, I would bring my kids up to have lunch with Eric every Friday. While he was on his lunch break, we'd come up. Ginger was there when he was working with her. We would come up there just to have lunch, because on Fridays, kiddos don't get to see Daddy very much. He's at the school early at 6:15, and he doesn't come home after school before the football game. And then when you get to the football game, you're lucky if he can come and see you during the third quarter. So that was the only
game,
way.
You gotta...
Oh yeah, if it's an away game, all bets are off. You're not going to see Dad, and he's probably going to be sleeping well into Saturday morning too.
Mm-hmm.
So I do things like that. I take my kids up to see him as often as I can, when I'm not going to be a distraction too. I will take my kids to Monday night rehearsals, and we stay out of the way, but they hear Dad on the speaker, like talking to the kids. So they feel like they're with him, even if they're not. And of course, I talk to a lot of young band wives, and the thing I always say to them is, if you're not supporting him, then you are making his job harder. If you're not showing up to the football games, knowing I'm probably not going to see him, but if you're not at least showing up, he notices that you're not there. And that's not support for your husband. It's not support. If he was a basketball coach, you need to show up at those games too, but I show up. But then now that our kids are all in school, I started going up. I'm on the volunteer list at his school, and I go up and I work. I'm his coffee mom. I work on the library to try to get that into some order. But I do what I can to see him, and it, even if it's his job and I'm working on his thing, on his stuff, when I see that he's stressed out, I say, what can I take off of your plate? Because a lot of times I can't do it. I'm not musical. I can't judge chair tests for him. But I can put this list into alphabetical order, and I can compile how many hotel rooms he needs for this away game situation. What can I do to make your job easier, to take something off of your plate? That's what I want to do, because it helps him to be less stressed, and also it gets us on the couch together watching Ted Lasso just that much sooner.
How great is Ted Lasso? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, don't you just love him? Oh, he's the best.
That's a separate podcast, though.
I would echo a lot of the same things. It's just, taking something off of their plate when you can, understanding when there isn't anything that anyone can take off their plate and they just need to be at the school. I said earlier, I was warned about that, but I guess really thinking about it early on, I still didn't get it. I tried, and I was supportive and showed up for everything, but deep down I was just like, does it, like, I was jealous. Like, you get jealous of the kids because they're getting his time, or I don't know, you go through phases, I guess, but then you learn as you go, and you figure out there are waves, and there will be times that he is there more, and maybe even enough to get tired of each other at times, not often. But, sometimes it looks like, hey, you need waters for the game Friday night. It's going to take forever to get them because you can only buy 3 cases at a time. So how about I take this Suburban and go get those for you, which looks a little different for me because I am a school employee and can do some of the things that, I used to not be able to do, but I can take some of those things off his plate, and he can go home and spend some time with the boys and be a little less stressed. So, but yeah, sometimes it looks like making copies. Sometimes it looks like going to get waters or snacks, or making sure that the plumes got on the bus, or,
Well, I love what you said too about sometimes it's just knowing that he's just going to be at this school.
Yep.
And not nagging him about it. I mean, we all know those band directors who are really good at their job, and they're no longer band directors because their spouse didn't support them, and their spouse couldn't handle it. We know them, and I just you have to say, look, you're not. It's not necessarily that they're workaholics. It's that band directing takes a lot of hours. It just is a job that takes a lot of hours, and so just recognizing, like you said, sometimes he's just going to be up at the school late. I'll have coffee waiting for you when you come home.
And they already know, they know that they are missing all the things. You don't need to find out,
No.
When I first started going, I kind of felt out of place. So then I kind of flipped it on its head and I said, hey, can I bring my horn? She said, sure. So I started bringing my trumpet, and I play in the stands now with the kids.
I love that.
And the kids love it. And they chant for me when I come marching up the stairs, and I've got my horn, and it makes me feel incredible. But I I was still practice and I still played. And so I still had quite a bit of chops. And so not to toot my own horn, but I could kind of impart, some of that confidence maybe even to the kids, try taking it up an octave, or, look at this, passage, you might be able to, do this a little differently. And even in the school song, we took parts of it up an octave. And so part of that, I just imbued some of my knowledge and some of my just where, trumpet mentality on some of these kids. And even in low brass, they want to keep up with everybody else. And so then it kind of becomes a kind of a natural competition. And so that's how I've kind of inserted myself is bringing my horn and playing in the stands and just kind of being part of the group.
That is so cool, Brandon. That is so awesome. Like, you made me want to go learn an instrument so that I can do that.
It's fun. I don't do all the dances yet, but we play in the stands.
I can't do that, but I can teach some kids some drill on the marching field. So I do that.
That's awesome.
That's impressive. I don't know anything, you guys. Like, I can offer sarcastic comments. I do get to tomorrow night. I get to announce for the first time, and I'm so excited for it.
I bet you're wonderful at that. You got a great speaking voice.
Oh, well, we'll see. Eric told me, he's like, I will give you one chance, and if you screw it up, you don't get any more. But you know what? The one thing I can't wait to say is, ladies and gentlemen, shut up and listen to the band. Yes. They have been working really hard. Quit talking while they're performing. But I can't say that, apparently.
Well, it's really, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Well, part of my responsibility has become the props and the prop children. And without going into that very far, we kind of understand sometimes who the prop children are assigned, maybe those that are shadows, or maybe those that need some more development. But those are my favorite kids. They kind of I pull them in under my wing, and if you stick with this, do this well, your band career is going to just keep rising. So I try to encourage those kids, and we get the most out of them, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of the things that's so interesting to me is that you've all sort of said the same thing, which is you decided to get involved and go along on this journey with your spouse. And I do think that makes perfect sense to me, because as you've all said, it's such a demanding job. It takes so much time. So you've all sort of said that in different ways, that you just got in there and you decided to do it with them in a lot of ways, in the appropriate way for your role. And I think that's really admirable.
So not to cut you off, Tim. Sorry, but I don't think our marriage would have survived had I not.
I can't imagine. Like,
you might have survived, but how would it have thrived?
Right. It would have been two separate lives for 9 months out of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. All right. So you may have already answered this. The final thing I'm going to ask you is there anything else you want to say about this? I was going to ask you, are there any particular, like, marching band season, or really any time, coping techniques that you recommend? I think you've already sort of answered that, but is there anything else about coping and making this work that you want to share before we end this conversation?
I think Amber kind of touched on it, especially if you have kids, recognizing that they're just going to miss things. Saturdays, I mean, they call it Bandtober for a reason, right? We're going to miss the pumpkin patch. And so put that negative spin on it for my kids right now. Like, I tell them, we'd get out there and you'd be sneezing the whole time. It's fine. I'd rather go to band contest, wouldn't you? I know my kids are going to miss things, and I know that Eric is going to miss things with my kids. And so that makes it so much easier when I just take that pressure off both him and I, to have these expectations that we're going to have the perfect fall day at the pumpkin patch. We're not, because we're at band contest. That's just the way it is. And I can choose to gripe about it, and I can choose to complain about it on social media and do nothing for my husband. That doesn't help him at all. It's not going to change the situation. He still has band contest in October, twice a month at least, So just recognizing those times when they're just not going to be there. And instead of getting upset with them, ask a friend to take your kids, or, just recognize they're not going to be there all the time. And the other thing is, if you have young kids, get a babysitter and go to band contests by yourself and help out where you can, because you will develop friendships with other band wives and the road guy from the music store.
Yeah.
Is gonna, you know what I'm talking about, Chris Bell. Yeah, like they tell you, I sit next to the road guy, and I ask him, how was that? When Eric texts me, how did so-and-so do? What do I tell him? Because I don't know anything about music, but just those little things, when you show up, it means the world to him. And you're just, I guess that's just you can cut this part out where I'm like constantly like jibber jabbering. But
I have a question for you, Kayla, and you may not be able to answer, but I would be curious, me coming from even collegiate, marching band, I know what the time commitment for me was. Did you have any idea kind of going into this?
Not a clue. And even our first year of marriage, I knew he was a band director, but I was finishing school in Missouri, so he actually moved out to Missouri to be with me my last year. So when we moved back to Amarillo, we already had a year of marriage, and I was like, yeah, you go to school and you come home, and it's great. Oh my gosh. I was like you said, I was so lonely that first year. And even for the first couple of years, I didn't handle it well, because I was like, what are you doing up there? Because I didn't know what marching band really entailed, especially marching band in Texas. Like, it's a whole thing. And I didn't realize not only that I didn't realize he needed it so much, like he needed that fulfillment of seeing good bands. And I say that mostly so I can lead into saying this about Amber's husband. Last weekend, we had a band contest in our area, and I was leaving the prelims, and I looked up, and there's Justin on a motorcycle, and I was like, that's Justin. Why is he here? And so I messaged her. I was like, is Justin at High Plains? And she said, yeah, he wanted to go see bands. And I was like, that is so nice of you to recognize that he wants to see good bands. He wants to go and get better at his job. And the way you did that, the way you supported him in that, was by not throwing him under the bus because he wanted to go see bands. You let him do that. Let him, you didn't throw a fit, at least, or maybe you did, but he was there with your support. You know what I'm saying? So no, I had no clue. And in fact, when I see our student teachers come through the program, if they're engaged, I will tell Eric, I want to talk to his fiance, because I want to show her the calendar. It's not bad. I'm not trying to scare you away from being a band wife, but I want you to understand this is our schedule, and this is going to be your schedule too. And you have two choices about it. You can be happy and supportive, and you'll have a happy marriage, or you can gripe about it and your husband's going to be out of band directing in 5 years. And it's really unfortunate. So.
Or they're going to pick you, or, if you have to put them in a situation where they pick them or themselves in their job, or you, that's a really terrible thing to put on somebody. And I realized I was doing that, and luckily I've just found so much more fun doing it the happy, supportive way.
Yeah.
I guess my advice for someone coming into it would be find a mentor wife or husband, a spouse, find a mentor, someone that has been through it with, we were talking about it like we need therapy or something. Maybe we do.
But this is our therapy.
It's our support group.
Exactly.
That's what we are.
What are y'all doing next week?
Stand contest.
Yeah, you too. But you don't have to figure it all out on your own. But look at some of these successful band directors and reach out to their wife or their husband and ask them for advice, because I think that's something that most of us have in common. If we have done it the way that we've been supportive, we're willing to talk about it. We're willing to share those pointers, the things that we maybe figured out the hard way, that our spouses could have had a better life. I don't know. Yeah. But don't do it alone. Find friends that are in the same business of helping their spouse out and getting involved.
Well, and I would say that if you're watching this and you are one of those lonely, I need a mentor band spouses, then you can contact me, tim@marchingroundtable.com, and I'll put you in touch with one of these folks or somebody else. I know lots of band spouses because I've been in this activity so long. So I will help you find somebody if you don't know anybody. So definitely reach out if you want. You guys, such a great job. This was like way even better than I had hoped it would be. Like, you guys really dug deep and were very honest. And I really love that the bottom line is that you decided to dig in and be on this adventure with your spouse. And that to me is, like, as a band person, that just makes me really happy, because I can see how much it means to you and how much you care about your spouse and about their band. So I'm loving everything about this. So
once I got involved, she was quicker to go to DCI events too. So now I get to enjoy that too. So
yeah, we went to DCI on our honeymoon.
Wow.
On our honeymoon. Am I not the nicest wife ever? And we got married August 2nd. So we have marching band every anniversary, unless it's on a Sunday. I just know he's not going to remember. I have to remind him it's our anniversary.
Well, when's the last time that you guys had a Valentine's Day with TMEA?
Oh, no. So, there's this book by, it's some composer that Eric loves. I can't remember his name. Music is My Mistress. Do you know what I'm talking about? So I always say, music is his mistress and TMEA is his Valentine. Yeah. And I'm the wife.
And the kids will always get sick. Right? Just warning you. The kids will always get sick during TMEA week. Or you.
While he's gone.
Or both.
Yep. And everyone's going to lose their voice in October because it's wheat harvest and you're outside all the time.
Yep. Cotton here.
And screaming during football games.
Yeah,
exactly. Brandon, I'm just so impressed that you play your trumpet with the kids. Yeah. I love that so much.
It was overwhelming at first and kind of just something I had to get over. And now it's really fun for all of us, I think.
I wonder if I can learn how to toss a flag, and maybe they'll let me. They won't.
I could help you out. I help with color guard too. I didn't mention that earlier, but
you do. That's awesome.
I could help you out with that.
Okay. All right.
Although I haven't tossed one during the game, I think they would think I was losing my mind. But
yeah.
I can.
2 weeks ago at contest, we had a kid, a trumpet player, bend his second valve, so he couldn't play, and I happened to have mine with me, so he was able to perform. It just happened to be work out. So
on Mr. Denney's trumpet, which that kid is going to remember that game or that contest forever. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool, Brandon. So cool.
Well, I have to tell you, as a band director who's not a trumpet player, I have very mixed emotions about your teaching them all to take it up an octave. So,
we try to do it with the characteristic sounds.
I'm just gonna leave that right there. I think we're gonna call that a night. That's the sign that it's time to end this. You guys have been absolutely delightful. I have loved this, and I'm so glad I get to share this. So, Kayla, Amber, and Brandon, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.